Everyone thought having a YouTuber mom would be amazing. It wasn't. Growing up, my house looked perfect on camera. Mom filmed everything. Our matching outfits, family game nights, and Pinterest-worthy birthday parties. Her channel had millions of subscribers who thought we lived the dream life. Behind the scenes was different. Every moment had to be content-worthy. If I cried, she'd grab her camera and say, "Let's film your emotional journey." When I got my first A+ in math, she made me pretend to open my report card 3 times to get the perfect reaction shot. The worst part? I couldn't tell anyone how fake it was. At school, kids would say, "Your life is so perfect," while I remembered Mom yelling, "Cut," when I didn't smile big enough at my own birthday party. One day in 8th grade, I had my first panic attack during lunch. Instead of hugging me, Mom pulled out her phone and whispered, "This could be great for our mental health awareness video." That's when I broke. I screamed at her to stop filming. For the first time, she saw me, really saw me, not through a lens. She deleted the footage that night. We had our first real talk in years. No cameras, no perfect lighting, no script, just us. Now I'm 18. Mom still makes videos, but our real moments stay private. Some memories don't need to go viral to be meaningful. Last week, I got accepted into college. Instead of filming my reaction, she just hugged me and cried. That moment wasn't for her subscribers. It was just for us. And honestly, that made it perfect.
I found out my school's no phones policy backfired in the most epic way possible. Our new principal was obsessed with banning phones. He installed metal detectors and made everyone drop their phones in locked boxes every morning, saying it would improve our focus. But what he didn't know is that we were planning the greatest phone switcheroo ever. For weeks, we collected broken phones from everyone we knew. Family members, neighbors, even the local repair shop gave us their broken ones. Then one Monday morning, all 400 seniors brought in their real phones and a broken one. When the metal detectors went off, we'd hand over the broken phones and keep our real ones hidden. By lunch, the principal was bragging to the school board about confiscating hundreds of phones. He even sent out an email to all parents about his successful new policy. That's when we made our move. Every single student reported their phone as stolen to the police. Within hours, cop cars surrounded the school. The principal's face turned ghost white when he opened those boxes in front of the officers. Hundreds of smashed screens, missing batteries, and phones that hadn't worked in years. He had to explain to the police why he was hoarding broken phones, while 400 stolen phones were still missing. The school board wasn't happy about the police investigation or the angry parents. Turns out they never approved his extreme phone policy in the first place. He resigned the next day, and we got our normal phone rules back. Sometimes the best way to fight a bad rule is to follow it perfectly and watch everything fall apart. My brother's bad choices led to the worst night of our lives. He started hanging out with the wrong crowd after dropping out of school. Mom was worried sick because he'd come home at 3 a.m., carrying expensive stuff he couldn't afford on his part-time job. Designer clothes, new phones, gold chains. We knew something wasn't right, but he'd get angry whenever we asked. One night, while he was out, I found a huge duffel bag hidden under his bed. Inside were dozens of phones still in their boxes, with price tags from different stores. I knew right away they were stolen. My hands were shaking as I loaded them into my car and drove to the police station. When my brother found out, he completely lost it. His face turned ghostly white. He screamed that those weren't his. He was just holding them for someone. He had to pay $25,000 to replace them, or else. "You don't understand what you've done," he kept saying, pacing like a caged animal. 3 days later, Mom called me crying so hard I could barely understand her. My brother was in the hospital. They found him beaten half to death behind an abandoned warehouse, zip-tied to a chair. His left leg was shattered in 3 places. Through tears, he told me the guys he was working for did this as a warning. They said next time would be worse. They wanted me to know exactly what would happen if I ever lost their stuff again, he whispered. That night changed everything. My brother moved across the country to start fresh. Now he works as a youth counselor, helping kids avoid the same mistakes that almost cost him his life. He says turning in those phones saved him from an even darker path.
My brother's 18th birthday revealed a secret that destroyed our family. Everyone said my brother looked like Uncle Mike. Same smile, laugh, even walk. Mom would nod along, but I saw her get quiet whenever people mentioned it. Last month, my brother got a DNA test for his birthday. Uncle Mike had done one last year, so my brother wanted to compare results. Mom seemed nervous when he opened it, but we didn't think much of it. The results came back during dinner. My brother checked his email, and his face went white. He showed me his phone under the table, and my heart stopped. The test said Uncle Mike wasn't just his uncle, he was his father. That night, I heard Mom crying. When I went to her room, she told me everything. 15 years ago, while Dad was deployed overseas, she and Uncle Mike made a mistake. One night changed everything. Dad never knew. He'd raised my brother as his own, teaching him to fish, coaching his games, helping with homework. Uncle Mike moved when my brother was 2, saying it was for work. I now know he left because he couldn't face what happened. The worst part? Uncle Mike had no idea either. Mom kept this secret for 18 years, but DNA doesn't lie, and now it was all coming out. Last week, Uncle Mike visited. Watching him and my brother was surreal. Every gesture matched. It was like seeing a father and son, and now we knew why. Mom's telling Dad tomorrow. She says she never meant to hurt anyone, but how do you fix this? All those family photos feel like lies now. The DNA test was meant to be fun. Instead, it exposed a truth that will haunt us forever.
My coworkers always pressured me to join their expensive lunch outings, but my revenge was served colder than their overpriced sushi. Every Friday, they'd go to this fancy sushi place where lunch costs $50 per person. They pressure everyone to join, saying it was for team bonding. I always said no because I bring my lunch to save money. I was saving up for my mom's medical bills, but I never told them that. Last week, they started making fun of me, calling me cheap and antisocial. The final straw was when they started a group chat to mock my homemade lunches, sharing photos and laughing. That's when I hatched my plan. I agreed to join them this Friday, but I had something up my sleeve. The day before, I talked to my boss about our lunch break policy. Turns out we're only allowed 30 minutes for lunch. Their fancy sushi adventures always took 90 minutes. I mentioned how they shared photos mocking other employees' lunches. The boss's face turned serious. Her daughter had been bullied for the same thing. So on Friday, while they were all ordering expensive rolls and fancy drinks, I got my food first and headed back to the office right on time. They didn't even notice I left, too busy taking photos for Instagram. 2 hours later, they all rushed back in looking panicked. The boss was waiting. She gave them all written warnings for extended breaks and toxic behavior. Now they eat at their desks, and nobody calls me cheap anymore. They even started bringing lunch from home. Sometimes the best revenge is simply following the rules and letting karma do the rest.
What's the longest you've watched someone fake their way through something? My sister got hired at a fancy art gallery because she could read Japanese. For months, she'd been secretly photographing artwork descriptions and translating them during her morning meditation sessions in front of each piece. She'd make up wild interpretations that rich collectors ate up. A simple painting of a bowl became a metaphor for humanity's emptiness waiting to be filled with purpose. One collector spent $40,000 on a piece after she claimed it captured the eternal dance between sushi and destiny. Her reputation grew so much, the owner put her in charge of all Japanese clients. She'd bow gracefully, say hi, and frantically type in her translation app hidden under the podium. The gallery's sales doubled thanks to her profound cultural insights. Then came the annual Artists Gala. A famous Japanese collector arrived, handed her a handwritten note, and asked her to read it aloud. Everyone went quiet. My sister started sweating but launched into her usual poetic nonsense about cherry blossoms and ancient wisdom. The collector's face turned white. Security was called. The owner started shouting. I thought she'd finally been caught faking, but it was much worse. She'd accidentally translated the collector's secret love letter to the gallery owner's wife. He'd been hiding these notes inside art critique papers for months. The affair was exposed because my sister's translation app was updating and she just made up random beautiful phrases.